States, you hear people talking about I think it was the 70s, where the pattern of farming changed significantly. It was a political decision, and a high fructose corn syrup became, everything's got it in it. So that there's been analysis done of when exactly the Americans have tipped. They weren't always an obese culture nation, were they?
None of us were really. I mean, I remember in the class there was one obese kid in every class, but that would sort of explain the genetic variation. Fair enough.
But Torps does talk about those cultures that are obese. He talks about the islanders, and there's the people who are naturally obese, and they do eat huge amounts of carbohydrates because that's all they've had, and they have been historically obese.
I'm
thinking about islands like the Solomon Islands, where they have a very high
Samoans and
so there have been historically cultures, because he talks about I'll shut up quickly. What he talks about is a place in Africa where the children are starving to death and the mothers are obese.
Oh, I'm talking about South America, yeah.
Is it South America?
Yeah, they did yes, I remember which one. I don't remember when you talked about. They sent a delegation, because South America has a huge problem with obesity, and I think it was even in Brazil, and they sent a delegation, and they could have these malnourished children, and so these mothers would bring them in, which are huge and obese, and then the US delegates said, this is ridiculous. This is obviously obviously they're eating all the food. But he said, hang on, that's what Garrett Taub said, that doesn't make sense from a maternal standpoint. What mother would starve their kid? So he said, what you're saying is that you're going out eating a Snickers bar while your kid is starving.
That's right.
He said, is that what they were doing? He said, I don't think so. So this is the whole thing where but there's some pretty nasty shit happening there with
they just didn't have the right food to feed their children. You can't feed children what you're eating, as they were just eating what they caught once a day.
Obese people are often malnutritioned as well.
That's right.
Well, see, this is the thing. I thought about this yesterday, and when you're storing...
And then the other end of that spectrum is the Lerone syndrome, where there's that community in South America. Once again, it was on Catalyst the other night, and they eat what they like, and they're not obese. They have the thing that kills them if they're not dying of old age peacefully in their sleep is accidents and alcohol and drug abuse and cigarettes.
And they're small. They're the small
right.
people. That's a genetic. That syndrome.
So there's all that. Anyway, let's stay on track. I must give it to anybody. So basically, what a low carb, high fat diet does, if you just think in simple terms, it drives down your body fat storage and drives up your body fat burning. We're going to get to that one. But can you see how it drives down body fat storage by actually not having as much sugar in your bloodstream, and therefore the low insulin and so on.
I'm just looking forward to the high fat part.
Don't worry. So, obviously, the opposite of lipogenesis, formation of fat, is lipolysis, which is fat catabolism, breaking down of fat. And again, you can see this is the same. I didn't have room, but this is the other hormone that the pancreas secretes as glucagon. And it's just to show, so glucagon more or less does the opposite of insulin. And one of the things it stimulates is lipolysis. So one hormone from the same organ stimulates fat formation, and the other one stimulates fat breakdown. So that's obviously the one we want. That's the one we want circulating more. Yeah, that makes sense. So again, it's not about really. You don't have to remember the hormones. It's just to show you that there's a natural balance in the body. One does one thing, and one does the other thing, and we can understand which one does what, and work with that. It'll all just happen. So we want fat breakdown. Well, let's see how we get some glycogen then. So you can see there, it actually describes what happens. Once your blood sugar starts to drop, you need a certain level, and that is actually what glucagon does. Once insulin goes low enough, glucagon starts to come in and do its job, which is to get some blood sugar into the bloodstream. So just like we wanted it out before, it was too high, now it's getting a bit lower, so we want it back in. Well, where are we going to get it from? Well, one of the ways we can get it is actually from our fat tissue. Right? That's why we say glucagon stimulates lipolysis, fat breakdown, because you can see up the top there, regulator for converting glycogen. Remember we saw glycogen in the liver and muscles? So that's the first thing you can do. Just tap into the stores, start taking them out. Done. Okay, blood sugar's fine again, tap into the stores. Well, they're not going to last forever. And if you're eating low carb, well, you're not supplying it with a lot of substrates and molecules for it. So where's it going to get it? It's going to, liver's almost empty. There's no more coming in. So you can start to tap in to your fat stores. And again, I think I've got this on the next side. I must have. I'm going to get to that. I just put it in another one. But you can see here, if you just look in the corner, can you see we talk about the triglycerides, which is a stored form of fat? They're just made up of glycerol and fatty acids. But the glycerol can go to your liver and get made into glucose. So you're making sugar from your fat. So now your body's got this steady supply of glucose, even if you're not eating carbohydrates, and if you're not eating at all. It's stored. So you can sort of think of your fat tissue as really storing glucose as well. So even when we're eating fat, we're always eating glycerol, because glycerol is part of the fat molecule. Okay, so you'll never run out of blood sugar, don't worry. So when people go, oh yeah, hypoglycemia, yes, look, we'll talk about that, but we can't not eat a substrate of blood sugar. Right? It's impossible.
Okay.
We can eat 100% MCT oil, and there's substrate for blood sugar in that because of this. Now it might be weighted towards, like, I think it's, if you get into the chemistry, you say a triglyceride molecule is 3 fatty acids and 1 glycerol molecule, so it might be 3 to 1. I don't know, that's just how I see it. But we're going to get a bit more into this. But what I want you to understand is that when insulin goes down, there's a mechanism that kicks into place, another hormone goes up from the same organ, and that makes glucose. Be fat tissue or storage.
It'd be crazy to think that the body isn't smart enough to work this out. Exactly. Isn't it? That so like we have to pump the stuff in for it to do it.
Yes. So just understand that these things are inherently in place in all of us.
Yes.
Okay, so in a nutshell, you eat low carb, high fat, drives up your glucagon, breaks down your fat. But at the same time, the same hammer drives down fat formation. So the same answer does everything you want. Alright? So low carb, high fat diet basically equals low insulin, which equals, I should have there, lower blood sugar, which then means higher glucagon, which equals lipolysis or fat breakdown. That's basically how it works. That's what we're doing. So it's all very simple. We just got to make it work in practice. But can you see how we could prove this in a court of law? You understand what I'm getting at? I'm just trying to prove it to you. That's all that matters to me and you.
Oh, what happens when people like have thyroid and all that generally put the weight on them?
And see, there's another. Now we're coming into, like we talked about the pineal gland. You can look. There's people that have brain tumours and that sort of thing. But what I'm saying is that, well, if you have that, you've got other issues than just this. If it's just your lifestyle, then we can probably we can fix that part. But it's just what you put in your mouth or not. Now having something, cancer or whatever, growth, well, now we're talking a different dimension.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And that does seem to be, the studies on people that are severely obese.
Yeah.
They're looking at possible other mechanisms that aren't working, whether it's influencing their ability to produce glucagon. That's one of the things. I think the jury's still out, but
it's also, look, I see it, and I learned there's a lot of this from researching into cancer. It's like we've got to be careful what is downstream and what is upstream. Now, is the thyroid starting to malfunction because this has been going on for too long, or is it the other way around?
That's right.
The way I see it, there's no harm in fixing this. This will only ever be good for you. Now, but have you got something wrong with the thyroid that's inherent or whatever? Is it messed up for too long? Maybe this won't be. But if this is causing that, and this isn't going to do any harm whatsoever, it's only upside. Well, why not at least give it a shot?
That's not going to make the situation any
but
worse.
good, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
We're just
That's
working
the
with how
point.
the body works.
But there are other things they'll have to put in place as well as. But like the ketogenic diet is,
But this is the thing. Think about what happens when this is. Think about what happens is when we're running that high insulin, really. As we said, fat is stored away as well, right? So you basically got the two energy sources. So basically you think insulin is just storing energy away. So where should that energy have gone? It should have gone to nourish your body, shouldn't it? So basically now you're starving your body. So actually this is another issue, including your thyroid, right? So what about if you starved your you might have become bigger, but you've starved your thyroid because of a bad lifestyle? Yeah, it makes sense, it could be damaged. But what happens when you start feeding your body and it can actually use the energy? So this is what we don't think. We think of somebody obese, that they're gluttonous and all this, but you're actually, I think like yesterday, you got to think of almost, you got this little Ethiopian on the inside, just covered, because it's fuel partitioning. Like you're partitioning to storage and nothing towards nourishment. That's what's happening. It's not like we actually maintain this perfect healthy body inside and we're just laying on the extra storage. No, it's one's going down and the other one's going up.
Which may be the thing that drives the hunger as well.
Well, obviously your body is starving.
Nutrition.
Yeah, and you need to, if you want to stay alive on that imbalance, well, you need to eat the sugar.
And
you have to.
Because the soils are depleted that we're farming on, the chromium and the other elements that were plentiful are no longer there. So we're eating a nutritionally depleted food anyway. So if you and there are
that's the whole other side of it. Is we think of hunger as just energy. Well, maybe it's also nourishment. Like the only way your body, if you need, say, chromium, calcium, your body can't tell you to go and take a pop of calcium. It can tell you to drink milk or eat cheese or whatever, It tells you to eat a rich... Why do we crave certain things? Because we need it, So that's the other side of hunger, I believe. And I believe there's something about... I could rave on about my own story, but it's a bit like... I can't believe the amount of food I'm getting by on now. And I tend to think it's because a lot of things that happen, but also it's nourishment. It's not just because... And I'm still losing fat and gaining muscle. I'll show you my latest scan. It's ridiculous, but it's not. It's probably just getting in tune. And I believe that's what we're just trying to do.
So Olaf, if we've had a diet for years that's been very high in carbohydrate and sugar, is it possible then that our beta cells just forget how to make glucagon because we never need it, because we never have to get energy out of our fat cells because our blood is so always full of sugar. And is it then this thing we were saying before about training your body to then burn fat again, by then taking away the carbohydrate and sugar, it's forcing those cells to actually look at the glucagon again.
Yeah.
And so is that the process? Why it takes a while?
Yeah, we're sort of gonna
to convert.
We're gonna get right into. So this is really how to do it. So this is basically sort of the understanding of. We talked about in that talk when you were here, but this is really getting a bit more nitty gritty. Lipolysis, lipogenesis, insulin, glucagon. Now you just sort of have okay. You know, what I want to get in your head is you're not abnormal. You haven't done anything wrong. It's just that the balance has been messed up. But it's easy to rebalance it. That's it.
How long does it take to rebalance?
We can talk about that too. It depends on
for different people.
Well, there is a time, but there's also how hard do you want to go. I believe there's a very quick way. It's not for everybody. I think everything is safe, but it just depends. If you've got to fit it into your lifestyle, like I said, I fasted for 10 days. I would say, okay, if you really want to go fast for 10 days, Brian. That'll get you there the quickest. But can you fit that into your lifestyle? And cause you know, can you take 10 days off and do that? I don't, but, you know, you got to sort of
fast. Or what do you mean?
We're going to get to
sugar. Nothing but water. Sorry.
I've got a whole chapter on that. So it's a bit like there's ways to do this, and I just believe it's actually easy because it's almost what not to eat. What to eat. But yeah, we're going to just cover it. So now you sort of got a rough understanding of what goes on inside your body. And why. And the reason I tell you this stuff, and people just say to me, well, why? You know, just tell me what to do. Okay, we could have just stayed in that kitchen and made the fat coffee, and here's what you eat, and here's when you do it. But you know what? Then somebody else comes along and says, oh, you know, that low carb is crap, and I just read this and this and this, and you have sort of nothing. You go, gee, that sounds a bit more impressive than what Olaf was saying. And I didn't really understand it, but he was just a good talker. I'm going to go and do this now. But you know what, when somebody comes along now and you got this in your head and you can actually go and just go, and they go, oh, you just need a complex carbohydrate. I go, you know, I don't think so, because they're made into sugar. Most people don't even know that, right? But now you do. That's what you've got, the most basic of basic understanding that nobody can argue with. Now, until somebody disproves you on that, you know, you're going to stick with this because you understand it. You're going to wake up in the middle of the night and be confused. You know what I mean? That's what I've found in my life. Why I have stuck with something. Just keep bringing it back. Makes sense. Okay. Well, what am I not doing? If this is true, then what am I not doing to make this happen? And all I've done is kept tweaking and listening, but I can just see it's because I didn't know until now. I believe I've accumulated so much experience and time, and now there are a few factors, but I'm trying to give you the main ones here today. And the main one is this diet. Cut out that crap we said, and then this is how it works. So basically, in a nutshell, if you want to go home now, eat this and not that, and it'll sort itself out. And that's the exciting thing. It's actually a very simple answer, right? But we still need to have the understanding, otherwise we're not going to stick with it. Yeah. So, basically what a low carbohydrate fat diet means is eat more fat and less carbs. You just switch those over. And it's actually, you know, it doesn't say, no, it's not an NCHF, you know, it's low carb, you know, you're always going to get some carbs and some carbs are okay. It's just we want to keep them low enough so we don't keep stimulating that insulin and fat formation, basically.
So how much carb is safe?
We're going to get right into that. So, here we go. And I'm not trying to dodge a question, I just want to know it's coming and I'd rather answer it. So, this is the problem you're going to get faced with too, or question on or whatever. Well, you know, is our body designed to digest and run on fat? So we just showed, you know, how glucose comes into the system, how that gets stored away. We haven't really shown, and I showed you how fat gets stored away. So right now, we're really only showing you that we can digest glucose. but also showing you that we can actually store fat from fat. And so is it, are we designed to run on fat? And since a low carb, high fat diet pushes down carbohydrates and relies you to run on fat, well, let's take a look at that. So again, screenshot from my anatomy book, and we can see this is actually, I'll see I put an insert in there, but let's take the fat tissue up the top there. You can see when we talked about how glucagon starts to break down triglycerides and release fatty acids and glycerol to make glucose. Remember that? So glycerol goes to your liver. We can't see it there, but that makes glucose. But the fatty acids also gets released. Okay. You can see they can also go to your liver, but they can also just go directly into your bloodstream and to all these tissues and use for energy directly. That's in an anatomy book. Fatty acids, fatty acids. I didn't make this up. Okay. Goes down here, other tissues, fatty acids. And see, ATP is just the end energy molecule. Everything's a chemical process. You hear about people talk about pathways and chemical reactions. It's just like from you eat sugar till it's used for ATP, it's like 20 or 50 chemical steps probably. Like if we were to discuss that. Okay, so we've just short-tracked it, release fat from your fat tissue, gets made into ATP, heart use it for energy. Okay, so we can see here, you can go to all the other tissues, you can go to your muscles, fatty acids get made ATP, skeletal muscles. Okay, so you can see how fat gets into your bloodstream and it can go directly. You can also see how, because they didn't have a chart for your stomach, so, but fat gets released, broken down into fatty acids before it enters the bloodstream, and then that can be used for energy, or some of that fat could go to storage, as we talked about before. So it works a little bit the same as sugar there. It'll use up what it needs for energy now, and it'll store the rest away. Mm-hmm. But here's the kicker: it doesn't really stimulate insulin much. So your insulin is not going to rise, you're not going to store too much away. And also when you keep insulin low, glucagon is high and you can release it. So it's not so much that it goes into fat tissue, that's a normal process, that happens all the time. But it's when we can't release it, that's the problem, that's when we accumulate more than we want.
That's a bit of an indicator, isn't it, if we have a bodily system that is really, really concerned with the amount of glucose in the blood, but no system that's too concerned about the amount of fat in your blood.
It tells you something, doesn't it?
So it does tell you something.
But it will get stored away, and there's probably also a limit to how much fat you should have in your blood. Yeah. But see here, now we can probably go back, and again, I've been moving into shaky territory for myself, how appetite's regulated. But I can just say from my own experience, it's very hard to sit there and eat too much fat.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And you can say, now the reason you can eat too much sugar is because it can get cleared out of your bloodstream like that, and then you can keep eating, right? Your insulin goes through the roof, and it's just getting cleared as quick as you're putting it in, right? But fat, obviously, insulin is one of the hormones that push your fat away in your tissue as well. But if you're not stimulating that hormone that takes it out of your bloodstream, it makes sense that it's accumulating there, and therefore you're getting your satiety signals. So you just can't physically stuff in anymore because actually it's enough and it's not getting cleared. So it's sort of a self-regulating thing.
Yeah, I vomited up a complete meal when I couldn't.
You just try and sit there and eat too much.
Yeah,
it's like it's very, very hard.
Because it was the day after Christmas, and I'd eaten a little bit of other food. No, I didn't actually. I took berries and I took my own. I only ate the food I was meant to eat because I'd only started this a month before. But I didn't have a lot of fat through the day, and the next day I was very hungry when I got up. So I made a really big bacon, eggs and plenty of extra butter and stuff on there, and I overdid it, and I completely brought the whole lot up because I should have gone a little bit slower with getting more fat into my system. But I was so hungry because I'd deprived myself of it at Christmas, and you just physically can't do it.
That's the thing, is that people go, well, if you eat too much fat, but try and do it. Right? People say, oh, if you overeat by 2,000 calories, you'll get fat. Yeah, but try to actually do it in practice.
Yeah, it's...
Because you're not stimulating those storage hormones, it'll just stay in your stomach and keep getting released into your bloodstream, and it'll stay in your stomach and you say, oh, geez, I feel it. But you know what? It's not going to get into storage, it's just going to sit there and get digested.
And when you overeat on fat, the feeling is different to when you overeat on carbs. Like I can sit down and have a main meal, and when I was not mainly carbohydrate, but when I was in that state, and people would put the apple crumble there, and no matter how full and bloated I felt, I'd still find space for the other. But if my meal is fat, my proper meal now, I don't have any of that bloated feeling, of feeling like, oh, I've got to go and lay down, but I couldn't force any other food in. So the actual feeling, it doesn't leave that awful feeling. It's like, I'm completely at peace here, and I couldn't take any more. So
and again, it's just like I said, you pump in the sugar, the insulin goes up, it clears the bloodstream, and that's why we say, well, how can you eat this high carbohydrate meal and be hungry 2 hours later? Because your insulin's still up, it's clearing everything. Your body's anticipating, it's keeping that sugar level in your bloodstream very tightly.
You don't crave fat, like you don't crave sugar.
No,
people
lose
get sugar cravings.
Yes.
Whereas I don't really know anybody that has fat cravings.
No.
Do you?
But you want it's wanting fat, but it's not. It's not like that. It's distracting you from anything else. Type craving, isn't it? It's like, now I know I need
honestly,
fat.
I haven't eaten today. I had that fat yesterday. Well, I'll measure my ketones just to give you an idea again. But food becomes a non-issue. I could eat, but you'd never get that hunger because I think what happens is that. And this is the other side of this. Let's talk about when we get to fasting, because I can go down so many, and I don't want to confuse you, So I want to really keep this on track, so you come away with just not me rambling. And again, point I'm trying to make here is that fat metabolism is a perfectly normal thing. Just as basic as glucose goes in. We showed glucose goes into all your other tissues. Fatty acids. It says that in the most basic of science books. Okay?
It's so frustrating to think that is probably still in the anatomy books.
Oh, yeah.
But it's all disputed. Basically,
even ketosis is. It's like, but it's just like, I always think, does anybody ever open up these books? Or is it just me?
That's right. I mean, why even have it if no one agrees with it?
And this is what we base everything on. So, but anyway, it's
horrifying.
Anyway, we'll try to keep on track. So, in a nutshell, by looking at very basic energy metabolism, so the energy chemical processes, and human anatomy, we can most definitely conclude that fat is a natural energy source for our body. Would you agree on that? Like just by looking at that, and you could get some better anatomy charts than this on Wikipedia on the internet, freely available. Okay. So, how to eat? How do we actually do this? Well, look, the bulk of your diet, and this is what most people don't think when you eat high fat, is above ground vegetables. That's the bulk. That's what I eat anyway. And this is where it gets a bad rap. We think, you just eat animal fat and bacon and meat and drink cream. The thing is, a lot of those things aren't too palatable on their own. You've got to have it with something. And this is the bulk of it. And actually, these pictures are from a really good website called The Diet Doctor. I think Anna would know it. Andreas Enfeldt. Anyway, just look up Diet Doctor. He's a Swedish physician. Now, Sweden is very interesting. In 2008, they adapted the low carb, high fat as their national guidelines. So they've been doing this, a whole country
Is that right?
Yeah.
has been doing this for 8 years.
Sweet.
They're normally about 50 years ahead, aren't
I-
They are.
Yeah.
they? And with everything, education, the whole lot.
But don't worry, Denmark, where I'm from, is like we can see Sweden, we got a bridge to Sweden, and we're still doing this crap. So
And they're telling people to eat less meat.
one of the best scientists, Uwe Ravenscale, he's written ever since this low fat started coming up in the 80s. He's been one of the biggest opponents, and he's written I think 500 papers or something now. All what the guy basically does is do what he call like meta-analysis. He hasn't got a lab, but he just sits down and dissects whatever science is there and writes books and papers about it. But he's very good. Like he's very technical and logical, and but anyway. He doesn't live in Denmark anymore, he lives in Sweden. So,
Got out of there.
so basically, I just stole these pictures from his website, but it gives you the carb content and an idea of which ones are the highest in carbohydrate and which ones are the lowest. So you can see even the highest of these above grade vegetables is only 5 grams per 100 grams. So basically you can eat as much as you want of any of that. Okay.
I've still been eating onion, and I've only just realised it's a low gram. It is, isn't it?
But so basically, you eat a kilo of Brussels sprouts, you'll get 50 grams of carbohydrates. So who's going to sit down and eat a kilo of Brussels sprouts?
And there's also the difference between the fibre, because they're high fibre, the actual impact to your blood sugar is lessened, isn't it? Because they've got a lot more.
Well, this is where you say a higher fibre. You can subtract half of that, and it still doesn't go towards your carb count. I've specifically not today gone into the whole counting of anything because I think it's just annoying and continue and everything and weighing and all this crap, and I don't think it's necessary. And if it's not necessary, why? We've got enough to fill our day with. Go and watch my video on YouTube or something, No, but what I mean, like, why would you fiddle around with minutia?
Yes. Just stick with that.
And really, again, it's I eat kale like it's coming out of my ears. And look, I know I'm only going to get 4% of that is going to be carbohydrates. Some of those, there's nothing. So as long as you know that, you don't need to know the actual number. You just know, okay, I can eat as much as I want for all of that. Done. Right? But these, just be a bit more careful because you can see potatoes and all that is high in carbohydrates, and it's also the conversion of it. Again, these are higher fibre than these, but all you need to know is that just eat these and be careful with these if you are going to eat it. I just would not get caught up in the whole, unless you're really interested in geeky, you can. But you know what? I listened to Dr. Wiseman. Have you heard Dr. Wiseman?
Yes.
He was pretty much the one that sort of vindicated Dr. Atkins. He's still practicing today, and he's a big component of low carb. But he said, and he's got a clinic where it's like two years waiting list to get in and see him. But he said, I used to say, count your carbs and half the numbers high in fibre. But then sometimes the results weren't quite matching up. He's got it pretty much down to a fine art, I think. He's obviously a physician, he can do stuff in his lab and everything. But he said, I came to realise that no, sometimes some of that fibre is converted into blood sugar. So he said, now what I do is it's just all carbohydrates. So if he's doing that, I'm thinking, I'm not going to mess around. Me, I'm just going to go. But look, if you eat this, it's just a non-issue. But it's a good point because it comes up all the time.
So Olaf, would you eat any of those bottom thing, or have you pretty much?
You know what? Because my girlfriend has 2 kids and we make sweet potato wedges. And I don't know where I read it, but it was some see how they're actually higher than potatoes in carbohydrate. But I think they have what you call a lower glycemic index.
Yes, they do.
So that it might be that there's more fibre. End of the day, test it if you want. You know what I mean? And again, because we're all individual, and I've just seen I can get away with it every now and again. Doesn't matter. If you can get away with it, do it. But just be aware that it'll probably rising. Look, I never think about onion.
No,
I don't even have
I don't
beetroot,
worry about onions.
carrot.
You
But
don't
I
worry
would
about-
never hardly eat potato.
You don't worry about carrot?
I don't touch
Really?
carrot.
Well, I never used to. I used to cut it down, but now, because I eat the whole carrot, I don't overdo it.
Yeah, you're really adapted.
And you don't need to be
You eat it with the fibre.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't. I mean, I wouldn't have a whole carrot. Well, maybe I have a whole carrot sometimes, but it's.
Yeah.
I wouldn't sit down and eat 3 carrots.
No.
No.
You know, I wouldn't munch on a carrot like I used to. No.
I sort of think it seems like sometimes when we're starting out that we're actually going to miss out on something. We're looking at that and think, oh, I couldn't live without that, I couldn't live without that. All that goes completely out the window. But then if you decide that a bit happens to be in something, it's no big deal. But we're so used to that being a major portion of our meal that we think we're going to miss out.
Well, it is,
deprived.
This is an issue, you know, where you have to know what to eat or what you can eat, because it's no good me telling you, don't eat the potato, don't eat the rice, don't eat the pasta, don't eat the bread, and then not tell you what can you eat. No, just don't eat that. Well, if you haven't been used to eating this for whatever reason, then you need to know. Well, this is the other side of food, and you can just go to town on that.
Lots of butter with your kale and yum, yum, yum.
One of
So,
the books I read recently
That's sort of
says-
like the filler instead of, now we used to this. Look, I grew up on this too. Potatoes, I said. We had our own garden. We used to go out and dig up the potatoes, and we had a big pot every night. You know, I carried that on into up to a few years ago. I'd have potatoes, roast them, whatever. That was the bulk.
Cooking them changes it too, because the carbohydrate content of carrots is higher when it's cooked than when it's raw.
Probably, yeah. I mean, I hardly ever have raw vegetables. I mean, when I do have carrots, they are cooked. But again, we sort of got to get back to, it's low carbohydrate. It's not no. So if that's the only really carbohydrate you have is a carrot, it's okay. It's okay. Whoa.
Yeah.
That's
It's not going to be a metabolic performance protocol police, coming knocking on your door. What did you have? You know, so.
But when you are struggling to get to good ketone levels, then every little bit does count.
Yes. But I've
And
got a much more potent thing for you for that. We're getting it.
I'll just get some more water.
Is it a pill?
A wand. It's a little wand, and we
And
just
that's the
wave
other
it
bowl.
around.
You know, that's what you replace the sugar with, or the carbohydrate. See, also in this is the thing we should talk about, because it's still, you can basically say that's high energy food and that's low energy food. You can see the numbers, right? There's hardly any energy in spinach. I said I eat a lot of kale, but I can eat as much kale as I want, but I still wouldn't get a lot of energy. I'll get a lot of nourishment, fibre and probably some minerals and stuff, but honestly, I don't really rate vegetables that much as nourishment. It's fibre and it's fat carriers. That's how I see it. So you need to really get some energy in there, and that's the fat. Okay, we're talking about fat's very good for other reasons for yourself, you know. But if we just talk about energy metabolism today, this is what you're replacing the potatoes and the rice. You're replacing it with fibre, and then you're putting fat on that fibre. Okay, and now it seems like fat's a really, really good thing. Fibre is a really, really good thing for other reasons. Which I talked to Dr. Perlmont about if you've for your gut biome, that sort of thing.
So what are natural sources of the MCT?
Well, MCT is actually made from coconut oil.
Right.
Yeah. And I'll look, this is probably the main fat I have, is coconut oil. It's just that this is pretty much the only sort of supplement I would take. I don't really think otherwise concentrating, refining stuff is a good thing. But this is very specific, and it's not made in a lab. It's just refined down from another product, which is the way I see it. It's not chemically made in the lab. It's just an extract, but it's still, we have to mess with the balance, no doubt about it. But because it's so, I've listened for a few years now, the scientists talking about this are taking it themselves, and it works for ketones. We may find out someone in the future that, but so far it doesn't seem like there's any detrimental effect. Okay, and I do think, especially when you start out, I mean, I'm still taking it.
And athletes and that have been taking that.
Yeah, it's been around for a long time.
For a long time. It's nothing new, is it?
No. But yeah, these are the main fats I have on a daily basis. You know, butter, cream, coconut oil, olive oil, MCT or ghee. I like to, if I cook, I get steak in ghee. Because it's a bit, fats you want to be careful not to heat them too high. Most of these are pretty stable, but ghee is one of the most stable. Or any of the animal fat, any animal fat I actually like to, if I can get some pure animal fat.
Lard or
other than butter, lard.
I just think how our mothers used to cook.
Oh yes.
Because I think there's some real benefit.
Bacon fat.
Yeah.
But it's also building blocks. Your cell membranes are like 50% saturated fat. There's a lot of fat is a big building block, and I'm just thinking, wow, this whole low fat craze. Okay, energy is one thing, and accumulating fat. That's a whole aspect we're talking about today. But what about the actual what we're made of? What are we now made of? Our body would actually synthesize and make fat molecules, right? As we can see, we can make sugar into fat. So it makes sense. We can probably make sugar. We can also make building blocks out of sugar. If we need fat for our tissues, we're probably going to make some of that sugar into fat, right? But what are those molecules going to be like? They still come from that source of the breakfast cereal. Like, end of the day, that's the bottom source, right? So what are we now made of? Yes, it's fat, but it's synthesized in our body from what sort of material? Anyway, that's it. But
and they don't just come on their own as sugar either. It's all the preservatives and colourings.
Yeah, so that's all that. Instead of just getting some good solid blocks from butter, from fat, boom, go straight into your cell membrane, keeps you strong. Another thing is a lot of your hormones, cholesterol, fat is a precursor to most of your hormones. So you actually need good fat to make good hormones. Every hormone. I won't go into detail of which hormones are really stimulated by good cholesterol. But I will say this, because we're a small group, my girlfriend's very happy. But
isn't that interesting?
Yeah, so that. But you think about the other side of that. What about when your girlfriend is not happy? What's happening to you then? And then what? Okay, that we can smile. Okay, what's that? But what's actually happening inside your body? Because sex hormones drive more than just your sex. It drives up growth and everything. So
fertility.
we talk about everything.
Creativity and brain function.
Absolutely everything.
Your brain's one big fat blob.
It's like they're talking about now the moment statins and how they accelerate dementia and Alzheimer's.
And we could even get right into but anyway,
crazy stuff.
I know you guys, it's getting on close to lunchtime, so I'm going to go and make some food for you guys. But so this is just some pictures of some of the food we're going to make.
Wow.
To give you an idea of sort of what I eat, but what I want to get in your head is that the bulk, the base of a high fat diet is above ground vegetables and fat. That's it. That's the bulk, and the protein actually becomes. I had this yesterday, and we weighed it out, Mum, Dad, and I was going to cook that for you today, and it was 160 gram, which is not a big amount of meat, more than plenty, And I worked out yesterday, and I'll show you my numbers too. I'm gaining muscle, I'm losing fat. So obviously I'm not catabolizing. I'm not. So. It's like when you get this tuned in, your body will then start to come back to. But it is all about the food. That's what you do every day. That's what you got to get. You got to be happy with it. You got to satiate you and all that. And that's what I'm going to try and show you here the next hour or so. And then we'll come back and we'll talk a bit more, and we'll. God, time just gets away, doesn't it?
Oh, I just
That was
thought
really good. I just looked at the time of it. Yeah.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we started pretty much on 10, but it wasn't much after.
No.
So what is it now? 12?
12:30.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll try, but this cooking, we'll
So just
cook and talk, okay?
just
So-
on measuring, because I know that I need to stay at 20 carbs and below is even better.
Yep.
What fat,
Okay, well...
how should I kind of fix in my head what I need to target? Because I know that some days I don't get anywhere near the amount of fat that I should.
Yep. Well, let's go and cook, and it's easy for me to show you.
Okay.
Because, again, I'm trying to really not get bogged down in numbers and weighing and all this, because I don't believe we need to.
Okay.
I believe it just confuses us.
Okay.
We're going to talk about... Look, I got a whole other segment, but
Yeah.
I want to get you, we'll do something more fun, and you can taste basically what I eat. And it's taken a while for me to zero in, but it's just so damn satisfying what I eat now, and I eat the same day in and day out. And I've done a few cooking demos like this, and feel, oh, geez, it wouldn't taste like that. But I just want to show you how. So basically, what I did, I went and got a box of vegetables this morning at the market, and these guys are really. I recommend also getting obviously clean food, organic and all that. But there's a place called Duggan Farm. Actually, they're right near Murray Bridge, but they're not certified organic. But I've talked, and it's a family operated. They've been growing this for years. I think its price has been the same for 15 years. They're at Mount Barker Farmers Market in Mount Pleasant, and it's
Can you go straight
unbelievable.
to the farm? Can you?
You can. I've got their card here today, but I've talked to him, and he is like, if you think I'm geeky with this stuff, you want to talk to him about growing vegetables and how he explains how you don't need to use chemicals and how you look after the soil. I've got some of their eggs. I'll show you the most amazing eggs from the same place, because those chickens live in that soil. And his kale is like, I said to his daughters there today, I said, look, I ran out of your kale last week, never again. Because it's again, food is the soil it's grown in and how it's nourished. And if you tested their kale or their vegetables compared, it's night and freaking day.
Yeah.
And that's what we put it into our body. And I've said to him so many times, I've got their card. Yeah. I've said to him so many times, your kale, you get your kale is really woody, and then let's go and eat